you had a great relationship with Vince because initially he didn't want you to get hired, and he told JR, you need to feel what it's like to get your heart broken.
And that's why he hired me, so JR could find out how it felt to have his heart broken. What manner of human being is Mr. McMahon?
But then you won him over, right? You were like one of Vince's guys.
Yeah.
So I guess my sort of two-part question is, number one, do you regret not doing the WrestleMania 17 match? And number two,
I do.
Secondly, how did that change your relationship with Vince, and why do you think that specifically changed it?
Man, I don't know. I never felt. I promised Jennifer I would tell a story, and it's one of the cool things. And so I'm going to do this for you, okay? This is for Jennifer Louise. I said about the Q&A that sometimes you end up getting a question that leads to a story that then becomes part of the show. And so I was at the fruit market. I can't remember what year that was. Anyone remember? I remember I was watching that movie Wild Rose on the airplane about the Scottish singer.
And they did the gig at the fruit market.
Yeah, it's like, I played the fruit market, And somebody asked me about the Buried Alive match I had with The Undertaker, because we used to bury each other alive. And we liked it. And I came back, and Billy Kirkwood goes, "That's a story." I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "I'm telling you, Mick, work on it. It's going to be a story." And so I worked on it every night. That's one of the fun things of going out there. And so I'm sitting down. It's a more relaxed storytelling atmosphere. But I'm going to give you the gist of that story and dedicate this to Jennifer Louise. So my relationship was such that when I left WWE, and it's funny, Layla L., who was used to tag team with The Undertaker's wife, Michelle McCool, was terrified of me. She thought I was the meanest guy in the business. And when people go, "No, Mick's really," so she would go, "No, you don't know. I've seen the real him." And I didn't know what she meant. And what she meant was, she was backstage in the gorilla position when I came up the ramp after having F-bombs dropped on me on my headset by Mr. McMahon, and I just had as much as I could possibly take. And I got in his face, and I hit this finger, and I was like, "I don't care who you are. I don't care how much money you have. You will never talk to me that way again. Never! You got that? Done!" And that was the end of my relationship for 3 years. Went to another company. So imagine when that same finger dialed the telephone and said, "Can I come home now?" And so when I did come home, it was like looking at a Great Dane that's been neutered, Like, I didn't even have my mojo. And I asked Mr. McMahon, like a few weeks before the Hall of Fame induction, if I could talk to him. I hadn't had a meeting with him in forever. And I just sat down, I go, "Mr. McMahon, I'm not sure if you know this, but Madison Square Garden is a really important venue to me. It's where I used to take trains to, I hitchhiked to." And he looks at me and goes, "It's where you saw Snooker dive off the cage. Now get to your point." And I said, "Well, I never really had any pyrotechnics. And I was just thinking that maybe at the end of my speech that I would like to fly into the sky on a sleigh with Santa." And he looked at me and said, "That's got to be the stupidest thing I've ever heard." And he told me they didn't have the capability of doing that. And all of a sudden, I felt like a little bit of that 1995 Cactus Jack mojo start to return. I looked and I said, "Mr. McMahon, do you know what you told me when I joined this company? You said that you didn't give guarantees in WWE. All that you gave were opportunities." He goes, "Yeah, that's right." I said, "Maybe it was right when I signed my contract, but 3 days after I signed for nothing more than a guarantee, someone else walked in with the first guaranteed contract in WWE history, that certain someone being Wildman Mark Merrow. I kid you not." And I looked at Vince and I said, he got more than that, didn't he? He had pyrotechnics that spiraled and circled and pirouetted and did everything but spell his name out. You know, Psycho Sid actually had pyrotechnics that did spell his name out. In case you were sitting at home and saying, hey, Joey, who's this 6'9" Oh, there it is, Sid, S-I-D. Thank you, WWE. And I looked at Mr. McMahon and I said, do you know what I got in all that time? Do you know what I got? I got nothing. I got nothing. No pyro. No dry ice. Even Gilbert got a sparkler. And not only that, but I was standing on a mound of earth in Indianapolis after the first ever buried alive match. And after I finished burying my opponent alive, I saw a bolt of lightning come down from the scoreboard and strike the earth not 10 feet from where I'd stood. I don't know how you did it. I never asked. I don't know how much it cost. It was none of my business. But I do know this. If you had the capability of making a bolt of lightning come down from a scoreboard in Indianapolis in 1996, then you're going to fight away. You're going to fight away. In the biggest city in this country, in the most prestigious arena in the world, you're going to fight away for me to fly into the sky on a sleigh with Santa. I'm watching that entrance from the best seat in the house every night. The Undertaker gets up there and, he turns on the lights, and the powers that only he has. He steps into the ring and Paul Bearer opens his mouth to reveal a slice of cucumber on his tongue. At which point the dead man literally starts dry heaving in the middle of the ring.